All right, another episode of Conversate After Dark. Tay, what's up with you?
Everything's good with me. What's going on with you?
It's all good. It's all good. Tell people where they can find us.
You can find us at Conversate After Dark everywhere. And if you would like to be a guest on the show or you have a topic you want us to cover, you can reach us at cvadthepodcast at gmail.com.
That's right. Go to our website, www.conversateafterdark.com. You can check out our past episodes. Make sure you tell a friend. All right, Tay, let's do the icebreaker.
Okay. Once trust is broken, do you think you could ever get it?
Do I think I could ever do what?
Get it. Get it back.
Get it back. If I'm the one that broke it or somebody broke my trust.
Answer either way.
Um, Depending on the relationship, with time, I think that I could trust again if somebody violated my trust, like, lied to me or whatever. Um, if I'm invested in a relationship, then, 'cause I was just telling somebody this, uh, some men are suckers for sex and some are sucker for love. I'm a sucker for love, which I feel is more dangerous because you get infatuated with the idea of the relationship and being in a relationship, so you overlook things and you tolerate things that you probably shouldn't. Whereas when you're just looking for sex, it don't matter. I can walk away from it. So I think, depending on the type of relationship, if we're in like a serious relationship where we've been in it for a couple of years, then I probably would give somebody the opportunity to try to regain my trust. But if we're not invested, nah, you can kick rocks. Or how I treat you and how I interact with you is going to be very, very different. Very different, right? Because I'm not going to allow you to hurt me with the dishonesty anymore. Um, I have violated people's trust. I used to be a liar, lie to women, cheat on women and stuff. And it's hard. It's hard, especially when you hurt somebody. And I nothing makes me it makes me feel really, really bad when you hurt somebody that you say you love and you care for. I've hurt women in the past and, with my words and with my deeds, and I just felt like crap afterwards. So I try not to put myself in that situation, especially now, because you know how I live. I'm gonna tell you, it is what it is. This
Mhm.
is what I bring to the table. If you can deal with it, then great. I'm gonna do right by you. But if you can't, then I understand. I probably need to do something else. But yeah, I know that's kind of long-winded, but if we're in a deep relationship, I'll give you opportunity to get that trust back.
Um, Regaining trust for me is extremely hard. I can give a lot of freedom. I'm super understanding, probably to a fault. So with people's flaws or whatever you want to call them, I can forgive a lot. But when my trust is broken, uh, I don't know. It would take a long time, probably some therapy, if I'm honest. Um,
And you're not
and
doing therapy with nobody that don't matter.
right, exactly. Because I mean, if it's somebody that doesn't matter and my trust is broken, I'm gone.
Mhm.
But if it's somebody that I actually care about, it would take a lot. You know how I am about lying. I've talked about it on the show before. So, and because automatically when someone lies to me, my mind automatically goes to what else have we lied about? Even with a small lie. So like say I ask person I'm dating about my outfit and they say it looks good and in their mind it really doesn't. If I find out later, then anytime that opinion comes up, I'm going to be like, are they just trying to make me feel good or is this really how they feel? Like it I will question everything from then on out. So,
I hate
I
that
don't know.
question.
Yeah.
I hate that question. Do you like this? Do I look good in this? Or what have you? Because there's a balance that you have to be delicate.
Yeah.
Because when you're dealing with a woman and her appearance, um, it's just hard because you don't want to hurt their feelings. right? And you have to, and I think that question is really the more comfortable you get with the person, you can say, that don't look right. Because I always tell people, I tell my kids the same, because I'm a big dude or whatever. I'm like, hey, you ever see me looking sloppy or some shit or whatever? Pull me to the side quick and tell me to get it together. Because I would much rather you tell me than people be out here talking about me and all this old shit. That's true love and friendship, right? But, when you're in the first, few stages of a relationship, you don't really want to hurt the person's feelings because y'all don't really know each other like that. When y'all been together for a while, you can be like, man, you look crazy.
But see, this when I go back to human beings are too sensitive because I feel like you, and I've always felt like this. If I have on something, or my hair is a certain way, or if I do something and it's not flattering to me, I would rather know that than for somebody to tell me a little white lie and have me out here looking crazy.
See, I never looked at that as, I mean, technically it is a lie. Technically it is a lie. But I don't classify that as like being dishonest. I look at dishonesty as I'm saying something to manipulate how you interact with me. So like you going like all the way, all
I
the
mean,
way.
I mean,
Because I ain't gonna
it,
lie to say
yeah.
that is a little extreme. Because if I say it's okay, whatever, and then you realize later when I was just trying to spare your feelings, and now you question me on everything else, that's a tad bit extreme.
It may be, but that's where my mind goes because I feel like if people will lie about little things, they'll lie about big things. That's how I think. That's how I feel. That's why I don't like lying at all. Just tell me the truth. It's easier for everybody. Well, it's easier for me and the person I'm with. Just tell me the truth. Then you won't have to go through that.
Have you ever had somebody lie about their history or their background?
Um, not well, that's not true. Yes. I mean, because guys have lied about being in relationships. I feel like that's lied about, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely. But I'm just talking about in terms of like maybe exaggerated themselves, like overinflated
Oh,
story.
um, not that I've ever found out. I don't remember. I can't think of anything. I'm trying to think. I've had people who were boastful about themselves, maybe overly confident when they shouldn't have been, but not anybody that has over exaggerated their past where it called into question their integrity.
I asked that question because, we just read a book for our book club, Our Kind of People, which
Hmm.
deals with the upper crust, the elite of the Black community, right? And the whole premise of the book was how this part of the Black community interacted with each other. And a central theme of that is if you didn't come from that segment of the Black community, it was really, really hard to get into that community, to break that barrier. And so they wanted their children, they wanted, it was all about who you married, who you were in a relationship with. And if you came from a family that didn't align with where those folks came from, it was very hard to get there. So have you ever been with somebody who your family or your friends thought you way better than that? Not just because of their character, but just because like how they presented, where they came from. Because like I know like some women that they're college educated, um, they got it going on, and you couldn't pay them to work to be in a relationship with a city worker. That used to be the big thing back when I lived in Houston. It was like, I'll date the city worker because they got benefits or what have you, right? But like some women was like, nah, this dude, is climbing the utility poles for the city, or this dude's driving the bus, right, for the city. What I look like being with him. So have you ever been in that type of situation where a guy where y'all just maybe weren't, I would say equally yoked. I know that's probably not the right way to apply that term, but that's what my mom taught it
Yes.
to me. If y'all weren't on the same level, have you ever had a guy approach you and did you entertain him and say, let's try to make it work?
Yes, because I'm the type, as long as the guy's a good guy, I don't really care. Is I mean, as long as he can take care of himself, like if we got into a relationship and I always had to be the person to pay for everything or something like that, that might cause me to be like, I don't know about this. But city workers make a lot of money. Contrary to popular belief, there are jobs you can get in the city or jobs like being a plumber, stuff like that. They make good money.
And
Sanitation workers,
not only that, though, I'm sorry to cut you off, but more importantly, they have great benefits and great retirement packages.
yes, yes. So in terms of their position in life or their background, that type of stuff has never mattered to me. Now, it has mattered to my family though. I remember there I had one ex and I remember this was before, no, I was driving. I think I just may have had an issue with a car at a certain point. And I asked my grandfather to take me to his house. And he was not living in a good part of town. And my grandfather was like, "Do you know where this N-word lives?" Like, and she out there with him, and he ain't no good for her, blah blah blah. And look, we not even one of those families that come from the upper echelon or the elites. But my family was middle class, maybe edging on upper middle class, maybe. My grandparents anyway. So yeah, I got that from him. And then I had another ex just because he lived in Baltimore. My family, my family just assumed.
Look, I'm shocked that you would even date somebody from Baltimore because I know how DC people look at folk from Baltimore. You know what I'm saying? If you mess up and say, "Hey, Baltimore's part of the DMV," they be, "No, it ain't."
Look, one of my closest friends, when she met him, her first thing was, "You must be funny because you are not her type." And that's what it was. Because he was hilarious. To this day, he's the funniest boyfriend I've ever had. But
He
yeah,
said that
because
to him.
she said that to him.
How
She
did he
said
take that?
he laughed it off. He made a joke about it. That's just him. He made a joke about it and let it go. But she was absolutely correct. He was he was nice looking, but he wasn't what I would know. Well, she was comparing him to my exes. He wasn't physically like my exes.
What made
So
him
she
not your type? What made him not your type?
um physically he wasn't as tall as I would prefer, and I tend to like him a little chocolate, and he was close to my complexion. So
Chocolate like me? Huh?
no. Oh my gosh.
That's funny. That's funny.
But
Um,
but with him, it was just the fact that Baltimore and my family thought that, I guess they looked at it as The Wire, where he really wasn't. I mean, he because of his family, he was adjacent to it, but his mother kind of raised him in a different part of town. And at that time, when he was an adult, he definitely lived like in the outskirts of the city. So, they had it all wrong. But just because, like I said, the one guy lived in a kind of crazy part of DC, and then this guy lived in Baltimore, my family was definitely like, "Oh, you deserve better."
yeah, I made a mistake. Let me not say it that way. I dated a girl that was from the PJs, and there's definitely a difference. Like I said, my mom used to always say, you need to date somebody that you are equally yoked with. And I always thought that that meant like you came from the same type of background. Like your parents were middle class, her parents are middle class. Um, you both went to college. That's how I always framed it, right? That's how she presented it to me. Later on, talking to different people, and they was like, no, that's not really what it means. It means, same religion, right? But I still think both apply because if your backgrounds are too distinct, sometimes it can take a toll on the relationship and how you all interact and how you approach relationships and everything that goes along with that. Um, and I know people that grew up in the PJs that they were good people. She didn't turn out to be a good person, but I can't necessarily attribute that to growing up in the PJs versus growing up on survival. You know, I would say like somebody growing up on survival versus somebody growing up with love, somebody raised on survival versus somebody raised with love. It don't really work out unless that person raised on survival has done the work to try to heal whatever caused them to have to survive day-to-day life, right? And there was a meme that went along and people talked about it, and it said, I can't remember it 100%, but it said something about people raised on love will do anything for you, and
Hmm.
people who are raised on survival would do anything to you.
Hmm.
Something like that, right?
Yeah.
Um, and I thought it was deep, and I think it's true to an extent because it's hard for me to understand the mindset, the mind frame of a person raised on survival because I just wasn't. I wasn't raised that way. I was raised with love. I never really felt unsafe growing up. But my experience with people who dealt with that type of adversity, it could be tough sometimes. And
Hmm.
my when I got with that girl, my mom gently tried to be like, "Are you sure?" You know, and would try to bring some stuff up, but she was wise enough to know that if I say no, don't do it, I'll probably push him towards that person more. Because when you're young, you rebel versus, when people try to say you not to do stuff. And
Hmm.
it ended up biting me in the ass big time. I should have listened to my mama. Right? But
Right.
but I don't think you can just like with a broad brush just paint everybody who may have not grown up with the same advantages of you as you have as somebody that's incompatible.
Right. And you just never know because like they would say the cliche term is never judge a book by its cover. I feel like you have to get to know people because what you see on the outside may not be what they get. Now sometimes the cover is exactly what it says, but there are times when people can shock you. People can be totally different, good or bad, you know. So I feel like you have to give people a chance, which is why I say their status in life doesn't matter to me as much as their personality, their character, how they treat people. That type of stuff matters to me more. Like I said, other people have different issues, but if this is a person I'm in a relationship, I have to deal with that, not the people around me.
Would you date a guy that didn't have a strong male figure in his life?
Um, Not sure. I've never dated anybody who didn't have a strong male figure. I've dated guys whose father may not have been in their life, but they had like uncles or grandparents or other male figures. So with no male figure in their life, I don't know because the what I see from guys who don't have a male role model, it's not something I would prefer to be around. So I don't think I would.
I mean, you're generalizing.
Oh yeah, I am.
Right.
I
No,
am.
no, 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 no. But I'm about to ask you a question that's going to
Okay.
call for you to generalize. But what are the differences between a guy that you've seen that has had men in his life, like a father or that strong uncle, cousin, or what have you, versus a guy who hasn't? How do you distinguish the two from your experience?
Okay. You may not agree with this, but I heard a guy, a teacher, say this recently. Women, we're taught to be feminine from the inside out. Men are usually taught to be masculine from the outside in. Meaning, men tend to learn, and I think that's a generalization because I think women do the same thing. But meaning, you kind of emulate what you see. So if you had good male figures in your life, you'll tend to emulate what you see. Like my grandfather was a handyman around the house. He loved to take care of his house. He loved to take care of his family. My cousin's father wasn't around, but he was around my grandfather all the time. And I see those qualities in my cousin. all the time. Those good qualities of my grandfather. Um, I feel like I just followed a case where these kids committed a unaliving somebody. And when I was listening to the testimonies of the family members, many of the boys' fathers were in jail for life. And it kind of shows in how they grew up, how they process, life on the street. So that's kind of, like I said, generalizing, but that's kind of how I see that playing out.
Yeah, you definitely can tell with men whether they had that strong male influence.
Hmm.
I wrote a book about it. I wrote a book about the fatherhood, Black fatherhood, and in the book I mentioned it doesn't necessarily have to be a father. It could be a coach or somebody who takes an interest in that young man's life and who can redirect them. Because I'll say this, I grew up with a dad in my home, and my dad was a lot older when I was born. My dad like turned 43 like in May, like right after, a couple months after I was born. That's old to have a child, my personal opinion. I got friends who are like in their late 40s now, and they got kids who are toddlers. And I'm like, y'all got to be damn crazy. Kids are a blessing, children are a blessing, but raising four kids like I did, I couldn't imagine getting a kindergartner ready for school and I'm damn near 50. Like, come on. And then you got to get into the teenage years where you got to fight them and shit. Like, that's just
Yeah.
crazy to me. But I say that to say that my dad has spent so much of his life only having to spoil his nieces and nephews. Like, let me buy you whatever you want. Let me take you to this fun place. I may have to redirect you some, but for the most part, I'm taking you back home to your mom and daddy, right? So then
Hmm.
when I came along, all he knew how to do was to spoil, right? And so he set an example for manhood and some of the things that he did, good and bad. But a lot of the things that made me who I am in terms of like being a man's man, like that toughness and that take accountability, that came from like coaches that I had. That
Okay.
came from coaches is like, I don't give a fuck if you cry or you whine or whatever, you're gonna do it over till you do it right.
Hmm.
And that appreciation for what men do, that came from the community.
Hmm.
So if you grow up in a place where you don't have that type of influence outside of your home and inside your home, I don't
Yeah.
it's tough to be the type of man that I think most women want and respect.
Yeah, I agree. I was just thinking about like my father's generation. So my grandfather was in the home. So my father and his siblings were raised in a two-parent home. But not only was my grandfather there, like I hear them tell stories all the time about Uncle so and so took us here. Uncle so and so had us, and he would get all the kids together and we would play softball or we would do this. So so it is a difference between, I do believe it is a difference between men who are raised around strong, positive male role models and those who aren't.
And the opposite for us men is women and positive woman, because I don't think y'all like us saying female, but y'all can say male role models. So I'm gonna say female, positive female role models.
It's the issue comes with if you're using it as a noun or or a descriptor or adjective. So female in how you use it was an adjective, so that's the right way. But if you say you females, that's where women have the.
So it's wrong when Craig stopped Debo and you said, "Hey, Debo, that's a female."
Yes, that was for those, because I don't take offense to it, but for those women who do take offense to it, that's the difference. Because it feels like you're calling her an object instead of humanizing. I that I'm just explaining.
I remember in college. This is tangent. A couple of my homegirls had crossed your sorority,
Hmm.
and we were walking into the student union, and like we held the door open for them, and I remember saying ladies first, and they were like women first, women,
Oh
and I was
gosh.
like, and you know me, you know how I am. I said, you want me to just walk through the fucking door and say thank you. You know what I mean? And I don't know why they had a problem with me saying ladies first versus women or whatever, but that just made me think about that.
Yeah,
But
that's weird.
but I'm gonna tell you, female role models are important
Hmm.
because I've been in relationships where there wasn't a positive role model, and the woman that you interact with, especially in how they deal with men and how they see how you should interact with men, it could make or break a relationship. It can make it real tough because in this one situation, not only did she not have strong men in her life, so she saw an example of, because sometimes as a man and a leader, you have to be willing to be the bad guy in the household.
Hmm.
You have to be willing. I remember there's times me as a father, and I tell people all the time, I have 4 teenagers at one time. There's a time where everybody in the house fucking hated me because I'm like, no, you're not doing that. And because it's my job to protect y'all. And sometimes I have to put my hoof down and say, no, you're not doing that. And everybody doesn't see that until later on, right?
Hmm.
And so if you have a woman that's never had that type of interaction with men, they look at it as tyranny versus love.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
So when you try to say, hey, listen, if I'm your man and I'm, and obviously you're with me because you think I got some sense and I'm trying to lead us in a certain direction, but you're fighting it because you think I'm trying to control and dominate you. Who wants to be in that type of shit?
That's true. It also can depend on how the guy's doing it. Because if a guy's beating his chest like I'm a man, do what I say. Hmm. Hmm.
I used to be like that. I used to be
Hmm.
like that. And in some regards, I still am. Um, I used to do the beating of the chest, but then positive male role model. An older brother pulled me to the side and he was like, hey, bro, you don't have to exert your dominance all the time, right? Just
Yeah.
lead with love. You can still be firm, but lead with love and things will work out a little bit better. Now, the woman I was with, she still didn't appreciate it because she didn't have positive male role models, but
Yeah. Yeah.
it changed how I interacted with my kids, right? Because it used to be I was a tyrant. This is my house. You do what the fuck I say, my way or no way.
Hmm.
And I still maintain that, but you don't have to just be a bully and dominate the whole household or whatever. But
Right.
that between not having positive, female role models, or if she don't have a good relationship with her mama,
Yeah.
that that look, Tay, that right there, woo, that's tough. And you know what makes it tough? Because I'm thinking about this one relationship in particular, way back in the past.
Hmm.
And I remember my mom was still alive. And I was like, man, I ain't doing this. I can't do this. Um, and my mom was like, it's not her fault. It's not her fault how her mother acts. And it's not right for you to penalize her because of, the relationship with her mom. And
Hmm.
because of that, I stuck it out, probably longer than I should have. But that's also a tough situation.
Yeah. I get that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't know. Does it work in the reverse? If a guy doesn't get along with his dad, does it give off like red flags?
Um,
Probably if he doesn't get along with his mom, that gives off red flags. But what
well,
about his
I
father?
think actually I think in all of those situations, I think it depends on the type of person the mother or the father is. Because I I hate to say I used to be one of those people when people say I cut off my mother, I cut off my father. I'd be like, but that's your mother. How you gonna do that? But if you have a mother who's a jerk, uh, I mean, the older I get, the more I hear stories of people who may not have been raised by the best people. Sometimes cutting off people, even your parents, will be the best thing to do. So I think it depends on the parent and how that parent is and why this person doesn't get along with their parent. I
I
don't know.
remember my ex told me that she blocked her mom on all mediums, all platforms. And I remember saying, you did what? You blocked your mom? And it was so foreign to me because, and sometimes I feel bad about talking about my mother because I had the best mom ever. And I'm not just saying that just because she's my mom. You know, she wasn't perfect, but she was perfect for me.
Hmm.
And think I may have said this on the show before, but I was talking to a friend and she said my mom's name was Mildred. So she was like, not everybody had a Mildred. And I was like, damn, am I talking to, sometimes, you brag about what you have and it makes others feel less than. And that's
Yeah,
not my intent. I'm just, just speaking my truth. And I've learned that one of the worst things that you could say to people is that's still your mother.
yeah,
Because I used to say that to one of my homeboys who had a difficult relationship with his mom. And we would always be like, nah, man, that's still your mom, dude. That's still your mom. But then as time went on and we saw some of the things that his mother was doing that was horrible. And
yeah.
I was like, you know what? I owe you an apology, bro.
Right.
I owe
It's
you.
like recently. I know you've heard of Black China and her mother Tokyo Tony, right?
Oh, that Tokyo is awful. Oh
She's
my God.
awful. But look, recently a video came out where she says, I'm gonna Marvin Gaye you. Now everybody knows what Marvin Gaye's daddy did to him.
I saw that, but she said that. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
messed up. Yeah.
She would be cut off from my life.
Forever. Cause don't threaten
Yes.
me. Don't
Yes.
threaten me. What do you
Exactly.
mean by that?
Exactly. 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 Yeah, see, that's why I say it depends on the parent and the type of person the parent is on if I would give this person a chance or not.
Yeah. Now it's definitely something that you have to take into consideration.
But it would be a red flag. So I'm not sure if I would even stick around long enough to see what type of parent it is to see if now I'm saying it depends on what type of person the parent is. I'm not sure if I would be the person to stick around to see. Maybe now, maybe at this age I would. I know back in the day I definitely would not have stayed around to even see what type of person your parent was to see if you were right to to cut them off. Because when somebody says that, it does send a red flag up. Because either you're toxic or your parent toxic. Either way, I don't know if I want to be around. Like, especially back in the day, because my first thought would have been, okay, if we have kids, this is my child's grandmother or grandfather. Do I want that around my children? And people say when you marry somebody, you really marrying a family because if that person is a family oriented, they're gonna be around. Do I want to be around this person? So I don't know.
Been there, done that, got the t-shirt.
Yeah.
And I am so thankful for my children and the experiences I had with my family. But hey, and it's easy to say when you damn near 50, right? Versus when you're young because you don't know what you don't know.
Hmm.
Now we're equipped with the knowledge to ask those questions
Right.
and to be like, you know what? I've seen how this movie has ended in the past. I don't know if I really want to watch it again.
Yeah.
you know? So yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Speaking of parents and opposite sex parents and red flags, I should say. Speaking of red flags. So I remember you saying one time that you had a female friend who was a best friend, right?
Yeah.
And I've had male friends all my life. So if you were dating someone and they told you had to get rid of these friends of the opposite sex, do you consider that controlling, and would you do it?
Yes and no.
Okay.
I'm not. I so there's three women who I really consider like friends. No, more than that. Four or five. I got a lot of female friends.
Hmm.
That's the right way to say it. It's still an adjective.
It's still agitated. Yes.
So I got a lot of female friends. And for the most part, I have never done anything with them. And even those who I may have crossed the line with, we are nowhere like that anymore. It's just pure friendship. So I would be honest about the interaction, but I'm not cutting anybody off. I'm not doing
Hmm.
I'm not doing that. And I wouldn't want her to cut off her male friends because if it's a situation where now if it looked fishy, funny, if I had a suspicion about their interactions and the energy that they have or whatever, or if that person was disrespectful or even
Hmm.
blurred the line of being disrespectful, then yeah, I'm not going to ask her to cut them off. I'm just going to cut her off
Yeah.
because I don't
Yeah.
want to be a part of that. But like me and my friends who are women, my female friends, I mean, we got it kind of down pat. Like when I'm not in a relationship, the way we interact is different in terms of like, hey, you just want to hang out or whatever, do this. And when they aren't in a relationship, but when they're in a relationship, I fall back as much.
Mm.
We're not going to go to dinner and just hang out as friends because you got a man now, right? Um, I'm not going to text you at a meme or something at 11 o'clock at night or at midnight if you're in a relationship because I don't want your man to like, well, what the fuck he texting you at 11 at midnight because I wouldn't want anybody doing that to me.
Hmm.
So we kind of have it down, how the rules of engagement of our friendship changes when we're in relationships and when we're not. So I haven't really had any problems other than, my big relationship, my marriage, she really didn't like one of my best friends. And it was more so about how her friends influenced her, like, girl, you okay with that? And me and this girl had never done anything. We had like
Hmm.
purely friends who grew up together in college, right? Um, and it really put me in a bind because, she wanted to be extra mean to this person, and I wasn't having that.
Yeah.
But it put me in a situation where I had to kind of distance myself from her, which I really hate because I didn't want to expose her to the craziness.
Yeah. Yeah. I get that. Um, my initial thought is yes, it's controlling.
Oh, for sure, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But
Insecure, all that. Yeah.
say that again.
Insecure, all of
Oh,
that. Yeah.
I was just about to point out that. So I was in a relationship years ago, and the person questioned me having male friends. Again, I've had male friends my whole life. I was a semi-tomboy when I was little, so I always hung around the boys. It's not an issue for me, but um, I was in a relationship. He had an issue with my friends. I cut my friends off
Mm,
because you're told the relationship comes first, and this is somebody I'm thinking is going to be there for the future. So cut my friends off. But I found out later it had nothing to do with my male friends. He was insecure, and so me cutting off my male friends didn't do anything to ease his insecurities. They continued. So yeah. So now my thing is it depends on why you want me to cut off my friends. I'm a firm believer that men can see things in men that women may not see, and women can see things in women that men may not be able to detect. Because the amount of times I've heard men say, well, a woman will be flirting with them, and they say, I never even realized it.
yeah.
But another woman could look at it from the outside in and be like, oh, yeah, she was clearly flirting with you.
Hmm.
I do believe that. So if the person I'm dating or married to or whatever tells me, "Hey, I don't like this friend. This is why I think this person likes you more than they should. I see something inappropriate." I'm definitely going to lean more towards the person I'm in a relationship with. But if it's what I went through in the past, you might have to go. If we married, that's different. But if it's just a relationship, I may have to cut the relationship off because I don't know. I can't deal with insecurity again because I've been through that.
Yeah. And I definitely have been the insecure guy, but I never asked for the male friend to be cut off. Now,
Hmm.
there's been situations where the male friend was an ex who turned into a friend, and I was leery of that. And when you are insecure, on top of having to be mature about a hey, this was a thing, now it is no longer. That was hard for me to get over. But at this age, I'm just gonna ask a question. Do y'all still have a thing? Are y'all still being romantic? And
Mm-hmm.
hopefully you're going to be honest and I can trust your word on that. And then you can kind of gauge, like you said, I think you made a great point. We see things that y'all don't, and vice versa. Like
Mm-hmm.
I was with my cousin who's like my sister, and she's part of this organization. It's a co-ed organization. And I was chilling with her and I was talking to her and her friend. And this guy that's a part of the organization, and he was playing, but he came and he threw something at her foot. And I looked at him, and then she was like, he's just a goofball. Don't I said, nah, but he don't know who I was. He didn't know who I was to you. He didn't
Mm-hmm.
know that I'm your cousin, right? Because what if I was your man and you
Mm-hmm.
come up doing something flirtatious like that to my woman in front of me? I must think you must think I'm a hoe.
Mm-hmm.
So even though I am your cousin, in my mind, you looking at me like I'm a hoe, because that's like borderline disrespectful. Why the fuck you playing? Again, it's my cousin, but why the
Mm-hmm.
fuck you playing around and goofing off with my girl right in fucking in front of me? And
Yeah.
when I brought that to my cousin's attention, her homegirl was like, he's right. And
Yeah.
then when I left, my cousin was like, dude came up to me afterward and asked, were you my man? I said, no, that's my cousin. I said, and that drove home the point that I was making. He thought I was fucking soft and he was trying to test me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So we
I
do
get
see,
that.
and my cousin didn't even see it. She didn't even see it that way. She was just like, boy, stop playing, whatever. And I was like, nah. But and my cousin didn't get it because she thought that I was mad because he threw something at her. I could tell that he was playing, but
Mm-hmm.
he was still trying to push the limit. Fuck that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I get that. On the flip side of that, I remember years and years ago, I was out with a male friend. We were at dinner or something, and our waitress was gorgeous. And he was trying to flirt, but she didn't know the relationship. So she kept it professional. And I was like, I love that. So later on in the evening, when she came back to the table, I said, my brother would like your number. I think y'all look good together to me, to let her know there's nothing here. He's free to, but I like the fact
Probably
that
thought that was on some freaky shit. Like y'all was like,
no, I wasn't even into all of that back then, so that didn't even cross my mind. But I like the fact that she was being respectful, not knowing our relationship, even though he was flirting with her, obviously flirting
yeah, you don't want to get beat up.
with her.
you know, I like to think I can handle myself, but shit, you can't whoop everybody.
True, true, true.
You definitely can't whoop everybody. So yeah, nah, it's nah, and thankfully I haven't been put in that other than the situation I talked about.
Hmm.
I haven't really been put in that situation. And the women that are in my life, they're very respectful. And
Yeah.
a lot of times they gonna side with her before they side with me. So if I call them and be like, hey, this situation, I'm like, you wrong as fuck, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Because most of my friends are what's the like how I say a man's man?
Hmm.
What's that for women?
Girls, girl. That's what people say.
The girls girl. Okay, so they're
Hmm.
they're girls. So
Yeah.
if I am out here dirt bagging my chick or you know cheating or whatever, they're not gonna go for that.
Right.
Because it's like, no, I'm not condoning you acting that way. You're not gonna do that to her because I've had it done to me.
Hmm.
And a lot of them is like, what other like being your friend if I tolerate you being that way?
Yeah. I have another ex who used to always say, yeah, because you got your spies out here. He was talking about his female friends who, anytime he was, they would talk to him, they would ask about me. How's Shantae doing? You better not be messing up, those type of
Yeah.
type of things. Yeah.
My ex-wife had I think I told the story on the show before. She had a good Judy. Yeah.
Hmm.
And for those who don't know, good Judy is like a gay guy that's your friend, right?
Hmm.
And they would go out together. I didn't care because I wasn't I've never been a really club person a whole bunch, but they would go out together and she would always say, this is not his name, but I'm gonna call him Trent. She said, Trent is your advocate. And I was like, what you mean? She was like, dudes come up to me and he'd be like, I'm the only man that she could be around that's not her husband. He was like, dude, because she's a very attractive lady. Dudes would come up and he was straight, hey, no, no, no. So I was like, man, I appreciate Trent, man. Trent's a good dude.
Yeah.
He wasn't playing them games. Now, it's too bad. Nah, I ain't gonna say that.
Yes, leave that alone.
I ain't gonna say that. I'm about to go there, but I ain't like that. I ain't gonna say that. But all right, Tay, you got a would you or wouldn't you?
I do.
Okay.
I
Good, because I don't.
okay. I think I feel like I may have asked this before, but I don't remember. So I'm going to ask it anyway. Skinny dipping. Would you or wouldn't you?
Yes, and I have.
Okay. Okay.
So I'm what's called a naturist. Most people would call it a nudist, but the group that I was associated with, Black Naturist Association, naturist, nudist is synonymous, right? And when I went to the first event, because we did like a trip, and I didn't know anybody on the trip. It was just people who were signing up that wanted to get acquainted with the naturist lifestyle. So they started a Facebook group, and they were kind of, doing FAQs, kind of giving tips. And the one thing that they said was, hey, when you're nervous and you want to kind of get, accustomed to being naked in front of strangers, just take your clothes off and jump in the pool. Take clothes off, jump in the pool, and eventually, you'll kind of get over it. And they were like, for women, they said just go topless. Start off with your bottoms on, topless. Dudes, just take it off and jump in. And that's exactly what I did. And it was a good way to kind of get over that fear, that anxiety of being naked in front of other people.
Hmm.
And it was crazy though, because like when we met up, they picked us up from the airport. It's an all black group. And I'm in the van with the different people, and of course we're clothed or whatever. We were in Orlando. And in my van was two fine ass sisters. So we get to the house and everybody's putting their bags up in different rooms and all that other stuff. And I go to the kitchen, and one of the fine ass sisters, she looked at me, she said, so when you gonna drop them drawers? And I was like, oh, say less. Right. But I was still nervous. So I had
Hmm.
like my little beach towel and I went skinny dip and we hung out in the pool for a couple of hours, butt naked. And then for the rest of the weekend, it was clothing optional. And the only time we had on clothes was when we left the premises, and we made sure that we covered up when you eat.
Yeah.
Like guys covered up with an 8 or whatever. But yeah, I've done it. I would do it again.
Yeah. Yeah, I have done it. And but well, yeah, for me it would depend on the people around and the type of atmosphere. So my situation happened at a swingers party. So like-minded people, and it was the beginning of the party, so they were just trying to get people like to get comfortable and stuff. So it was an icebreaker thing. I think I was there to do it during the game or something. And yeah, and like you said, once you do it, you're comfortable and it is what it is after that.
We got to get somebody from that lifestyle on the show to talk about it. Because the thing about it is, when I tell people that, I'm a naturist, I haven't done it in a while, but I don't have a problem doing it again.
Hmm.
Uh, they automatically think it's a swingers thing.
Right.
So just because we're nude around each other doesn't mean that we're a orgy, everybody's fucking or whatever.
Right. Right.
For me, it was about, because I was in a real dark phase in my life at one point, and for me, it was about overcoming fear and anxiety and making myself more powerful. Because I figured, like, if I could be nude in front of strangers, can't nothing stop me, right?
Yeah.
And you realize most of the people there's some people there for sex, right?
Hmm.
Most of the people there, they all in their head and they worried about how they look or whatever. They ain't really worried about what you got.
True, true.
They just not.
Yeah,
So, I mean, I don't, it ain't for everybody, but yeah, I've definitely done it. Yeah, we gotta get somebody like that on the show to talk about it,
yeah, yeah. I agree.
go more in depth. So, nah, but I ain't never, now, I've been to swingers parties, but
Yeah.
wasn't no taste at them highfalutin Playboy Mansion swingers parties. I was in the little scuzzy I was at the trap.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've done it at the trap too. But
Yeah.
but the party that I was actually thinking of, because I forgot about the trap, but the party I was thinking of, the woman whose birthday party it was, she's definitely one of the snooty, uppity
Yeah. And
type.
nothing wrong with that, you
No,
know.
ain't nothing wrong with that, because she was cool as hell, but yeah.
She's one of them our kind of people swingers. You get it. I'm
Outside
about
of the
like,
lifestyle, yes, she
yeah.
definitely is. Yes.
That reminds me of that Martin episode when Martin showed up to the party. And was swingers. Yeah, yeah. But anyway, tell me they can find us.
You can find us at Conversate After Dark everywhere. And if you would like to be a guest on the show or you have a topic you want us to cover, you can reach us at cvadthepodcast at gmail.com. Make sure you like this video, share, subscribe, and leave us a comment.
Yep. And make sure you go to our website, www.conversateafterdark.com. You can check out the past episodes. Make sure you tell a friend. We'll holler at you next time. Peace.
Bye.